The day I received the news about the tumor in my brain was the same day the world learned that Ethan, the actor, had suffered an accident on set. My wife, Clara, didn't hesitate for a moment. She dropped everything and rushed to be by his side, her concern for him eclipsing all else. Almost immediately, the entertainment tabloids began to churn out stories, their headlines screaming about Clara and Ethan rekindling an old flame. They painted a picture of a passionate romance, tragically interrupted, with me cast in the role of the usurping husband who had stolen her away. The truth was far less dramatic, and, I had thought, far more stable. Clara and I had known each other since we were children, our families intertwined for generations. We had been married for 5 years, a union that everyone around us lauded as a perfect match. I had always believed it too. I saw our shared history as a deep and unshakable foundation. But as the news alerts flooded my phone, each one a fresh stab of betrayal, I began to realize that the quiet bonds of a lifetime of familiarity could not compete with the sudden, chaotic pull of a past love. It was in that moment, sitting in the sterile quiet of a doctor's waiting room, that I decided to let her go. It had been a full 24 hours since Ethan's accident, and the window for controlling the public narrative had long since closed. The top trending topic online was still a relentless pairing of Clara's and Ethan's names. Rumors about their rekindled romance swirled like a digital storm, and I felt as though I were slowly drowning in the deluge. The fact that after all this time, the topic hadn't been suppressed, and the articles hadn't been pulled down was a statement in itself. It was Clara's unspoken declaration of where she stood, and it wasn't with me. I sat alone in our vast, empty living room, the doctor's diagnostic report clutched so tightly in my hand that the paper was crumpled and damp. The specialist's words echoed in my mind, a haunting refrain. "Leo," he had said, his voice gentle but firm. "The tumor is quite large. Surgery will be complex, but if we don't operate, it could continue to grow, impacting your memory and motor functions. There's a significant risk to your life. You should call your wife and arrange to be admitted to the hospital immediately." I had called Clara. I didn't go into the devastating details, just told her I was at the hospital and needed her to come. She agreed at first, her voice distant but compliant, telling me to wait for her. I waited for over an hour, the minutes stretching into an eternity of anxiety. When there was still no sign of her, I called again, but my call went straight to her voicemail. Her phone was off. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I reached out to her secretary, a desperate last resort. That's when I learned that Clara was already on a flight to our city. When I pressed for a reason, the secretary's voice was hesitant. "Sir," she said, "just look at the trending topics. It's all over the news." I pulled out my phone, my thumb trembling as I opened the social media app. The #1 story was a detailed report about an on-set accident. Ethan had been burned and was now hospitalized. Seeing the news, I instinctively pulled my coat tighter around me, hugging my arms against a sudden bone-deep chill. It was only then that I noticed how truly cold the winter in S City felt this year. Standing in the brightly lit, impersonal hospital corridor, I dialed my sister's number. As the phone rang, I remembered the time difference. It wasn't even dawn where she lived. I hung up quickly, not wanting to worry her. Back at home, I tried calling Clara another 7 or 8 times, but she never picked up. I'm not the type to pester someone. Usually, if I can't reach a person after a couple of tries, I assume they're busy and wait. But this was different. A frantic anxiety pulsed through me. I found myself wishing I could call her enough times to annoy her, to force her to pick up just to argue with me. But she never answered. The silence on the other end of the line was a profound and crushing helplessness. The Whites and the Millers, my family and hers, were old family friends. Clara and I had grown up together, the classic childhood sweethearts, So it was no surprise to anyone when we eventually married. But 5 years into our marriage, Clara always seemed so distant, so emotionally unavailable. I had convinced myself it was just a phase, the comfortable, quiet rhythm of a long-term couple. But now, seeing her abandon everything to fly to Ethan's side, watching the news explode, and our company's stocks tumble without any apparent concern from her, I finally had to admit that the so-called calm was just a lie I had been telling myself. Clara's parents called. I didn't want to pick up, but her mother, Eleanor, sent a text saying she wanted to come over. The last thing I wanted was to see anyone. I answered the call. Eleanor's voice was gentle. "Leo, have you been able to reach Clara?" "No," I replied, my own voice sounding hollow. "I can't reach her." There was a pause on the other end. "Leo, don't overthink things," she said finally. "We only consider you our son-in-law. We'll have Clara come and apologize to you as soon as she's back." A bitter smile curled my lips. I wanted to tell them I didn't need an apology. In the end, this was between Clara and me. Her parents had always been kind, and there was no reason to involve them in my pain. "Mom," I said softly, "don't worry, I'm fine, but I might not be able to face the reporters right now." "You don't have to," Eleanor assured me. "We'll handle them. You just get some rest." Not long after I hung up with her, Clara finally called. I answered and put the phone on speaker, placing it on the coffee table. Her voice, when it came through, was as cold and detached as if she were speaking to a complete stranger. "Why did you call so many times tonight? What's going on?" I paused, the weight of my diagnosis pressing down on me. "Nothing important," I said. There was a moment of silence, and then I heard a voice in the background shout, "Clara, Ethan's awake. He's asking for you." "I'm coming," she replied to the voice, and then to me, there was nothing. The next sound I heard was the decisive click of the call ending. I let the disconnected tone drone on, not bothering to end it myself. Clara had been with Ethan through college, a tumultuous on-again, off-again relationship that I had only heard about in bits and pieces, as we weren't in the same city then. I had been in love with Clara since I was a teenager, and she knew it. So, when she was with him, I was heartbroken, watching from a distance as they seemed inseparable. I buried my feelings for her as deep as I could. Years later, at a friend's wedding, Clara caught the bride's bouquet. She turned, walked right up to me, and confessed her feelings. We were surrounded by friends and family. I didn't want to embarrass her, so I said yes. I tried to explain later that I was caught off guard, but from that day on, she pursued me relentlessly. Just as our families had always wished, we got married. I entered the marriage full of hope, only to be met with her persistent coldness. Our days passed like a quiet, unremarkable stream. Looking back now, it was painfully clear that she had never truly forgotten Ethan. So what was I to her? A convenient tool to help her forget him? A sharp pain seized my chest, and the room seemed to go dark. I curled up on the couch, shivering uncontrollably. After some time, the trembling subsided. I reached for my phone and called my sister, Sophia. "I'm thinking of coming back to London in a few days," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Is Clara coming with you?" she asked. "I'm coming alone." The line went silent for a moment. Then, her voice laced with worry, she asked, "Did you two have a fight?" Standing by the open window, the cold wind stinging my eyes, I felt my nose tingle. "No, we didn't," I lied. "I've been talking about pursuing my graduate studies for a while. I couldn't arrange it before, but I have the time now. Clara's incredibly busy with work. Maybe she'll come over for the new year." Sophia sounded relieved to hear that things were supposedly fine between us. "Okay, well, let me know when you plan to leave. and I'll have my secretary book a flight for you." "No worries," I said. "The visa might take a month anyway. I'll book it myself. Once I have my flight details, I'll let you know so you can pick me up." We chatted a bit more before hanging up. I folded the diagnosis paper neatly and tucked it away in a drawer, hiding the truth from the world. And for now, from myself. Clara came back a week later, but she wasn't alone. She brought Ethan back with her from our city. To my utter disbelief, she settled him into the villa right next door, a property my sister had bought for me as a wedding gift. The keys had been handed over to me when I got married, though I rarely stayed there. A housekeeper would go in to clean it occasionally. Now it seemed Ethan had moved in. In my relationship with Clara, I had always been the one to give in. I never voiced my own needs or argued about anything. Even when conflicts arose, I was always the one to compromise, to let it slide for the sake of peace. This time, I desperately wanted to ask her, "Is this really okay with you?" But the words caught in my throat. Since I had already decided to leave her, why bother starting a fight now? I watched her for a moment in silence, then turned my back to her and went back to organizing the bookshelf. Clara, perhaps feeling the weight of my earlier indifferent gaze, tried to explain. "He's just staying for a little while. It's more convenient for the medical team to see him here." I remained silent, my back to her, a sarcastic smirk playing on my lips. I didn't argue. "Fine," I said coolly. "But let Ethan know that realtors might be bringing people by to see the house soon. It could disturb his rest." "Why are you selling the house? Are you short on money?" she asked, her tone laced with confusion. I placed the book I was holding into a cardboard box and looked up at her. "Not at all. Sophia gave me that house, but I've never lived there. It feels like a waste, so I thought I'd sell it." Clara looked puzzled. With the combined wealth of our two families, we had plenty of unused properties. She knew I was just making an excuse. She wanted to ask more, but I was clearly busy and showed no interest in discussing it further. Feeling awkward and out of place, she turned to leave. But then she noticed the books were all being packed into boxes. She realized I wasn't just cleaning. "Why are you packing up all the books?" "Just tidying up," I said dismissively. "Taking them out for some air." Clara nodded, though she didn't look convinced. As she was leaving, she seemed to remember my medical checkup. "Oh, about that health check you had. Is everything okay? I was in such a rush that day, I never got back to you." I paused. The image of the tumor in my brain, a ticking time bomb flashing in my mind. I gave a slight shake of my head. "It was nothing important." She acknowledged my answer with a simple nod. "Ethan's injuries are quite serious, and he's emotionally unstable, so I'll probably be over there a lot." "Okay," I answered flatly. "Do what you need to do." My tone was calm and completely unbothered. Clara didn't seem to think much of it and left for the villa next door. I stood by the window, watching her go, and let out a soft, humorless laugh. Everything in our home, the couch, the bed, the art on the walls, the curtains, even the slippers we kept for guests, had been thoughtfully chosen by me. They were all small pieces of the hopes I had for our marriage. What a joke it had all become. After I finished packing the books, I was about to call my friend Noah for dinner when he called me first. "Leo, you need to check online, right now." I pulled up a browser and saw that Ethan and Clara were trending again. Clicking on the link, I saw a new post from Ethan. It read, "Going full circle and coming back to you, the home of my heart." The accompanying picture was a silhouette of Clara, captured in the kitchen, making soup. In the comments section, thousands of fans were ecstatically cheering for their reunion, shipping them back together. A vocal few were attacking me, claiming I had forced Ethan away so I could marry Clara and that I now deserved to be dumped by her. It was my just deserts, they said, for separating their beloved pair. I scrolled through the venomous comments in silence until Noah's voice broke through the phone. "Leo, what the hell is going on? Did you and Clara split up?" My pause was brief. "Not yet." Noah cursed angrily. "Then why is she running around with that jerk?" I chuckled lightly, a sound devoid of any real humor. "Calm down. I was just about to call and invite you to dinner when you called me. Are you at home? I'll come pick you up." I smiled. "Sure, I'm too lazy to drive. Come on over." Noah arrived quickly. I had just finished showering and changing when he got there, and we headed to our usual spot, a cozy private dining place. After we ordered, I looked at him and said, "I need you to help me find a good lawyer. I'm planning to divorce Clara." Noah looked at me, his eyes filled with worry. I just shrugged. "I have a tumor in my brain. I need surgery. I've already started my visa application. I'm planning to head to London as soon as that's sorted out." The news hit Noah like a physical blow. His eyes immediately welled up with tears. "When did this happen? What did the doctor say? Have you told your parents?" he asked, a rapid-fire succession of questions filled with concern. "The same day Ethan had his accident," I explained. "The doctor told me to get Clara, but she was completely focused on finding Ethan. This surgery is risky, and it requires a family member's signature. I need to go back to my parents for it." Noah's tears fell. "Don't be upset," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "It's not worth it for a person like that. I'll go with you." I smiled and reached across the table to wipe his tears. "Don't worry, I'm fine now." When I got back home after dinner, Clara was sitting in the living room waiting for me. "Where did you go?" she asked. "I had dinner with Noah." I took off my coat, put down my bag, changed my shoes, and sat on the armchair opposite her. "We've been talking for years about making that wish trip, but we never went. Can we go this year?" I was referring to a trip to Lhasa we had once planned. I'd heard a silly rumor somewhere that our relationship had a hurdle to overcome, and that it required our sincere prayers to achieve true happiness. Clara had always found the idea ridiculous and never paid it any attention. Now, when I brought it up again, she replied, "That's just nonsense. I can't believe you've remembered it for this long. With Ethan's situation right now, we just can't go. Maybe after the holidays." I had expected her to reject the idea, but this time she mentioned going after the holidays. In the past, that small glimmer of hope would have had me thrilled, already looking up tickets and planning our itinerary, but now I just felt a profound calm. I responded with a simple, "Mm-hmm," and left it at that. Clara seemed to sense that I had become strangely quiet recently, which made me seem unfamiliar to her. She looked around the room and noticed something was missing. "Did you take down our wedding photo?" "I took it down to clean the frame," I lied smoothly. With her phone in her hand, a silence fell between us. I got up to go wash up. Upstairs, after I finished showering and drying my hair, I saw Clara sitting on the edge of the bed with my phone in her hand. "Noah called earlier," she said. "He said he's been in touch with a lawyer and will send you their contact information." My expression changed slightly. I wondered what else Noah might have said. I just gave a faint, "Okay?" She looked at me, her gaze intense as if she were trying to see right through me. "Why do you need a lawyer?" I relaxed a bit, subconsciously lowering my eyes. "I'm helping a friend." "You could have just gone through Leo from our legal department," she said coldly. "There was no need to trouble Noah." "He's not a close friend," I replied, the excuse coming seamlessly to my lips, surprising even myself. "I didn't want to use someone from the company." Clara had already showered before I got home. After I lay down, she did too. But once I was in bed, I didn't touch my phone. I just turned away from her and remained silent. It struck Clara then how mundane and passionless our life together had become. Perhaps it was guilt, but since she had returned from our city, I had changed. There was an awkwardness between us that hadn't been there before. She turned towards me, wrapping her arms around my waist. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. I stiffened slightly at her touch, and she noticed. It was only then that she realized how long it had been since we had shared any kind of intimacy. She moved closer, but I turned and gently pushed her away. "I'm tired," I said. "Let's just sleep." She lay back down. "Are you mad about Ethan?" I curled my lips into a bitter, silent smile. What right did I have to be mad? Why should a mere partner of convenience be upset? "No," I replied. After a moment, I added, "Why would I be angry?" The words seemed to tighten something in Clara's chest. "Why shouldn't I be mad? My wife was spending all her time with her ex-boyfriend and had even arranged for him to live next door. I should be furious, shouldn't I? Yet, I was indifferent." Clara felt confused, unable to understand me. "He's an actor," she said, trying to justify her actions. "An accident like that is serious for his career. Nothing is going on between us. Don't believe what you read online." I thought of Ethan's post, the one with her silhouette and the romantic caption. If Clara was saying this, she must have seen it. By not doing anything to stop it, she was tacitly accepting it. When the media speculated about her running off with him, she didn't say a word to defend our marriage. So what was this now? "Did they say something online?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "I've been too busy to check my phone." Clara seemed relieved. "No, nothing. Let's sleep." I soon fell asleep, but Clara was restless. She got up and went downstairs. Passing my study, she opened the door and found the packed box of books in the corner, which contradicted my claim of just cleaning and airing them out. Looking around, she noticed the wedding photo frame was there, but the picture itself was missing. Standing in the quiet study, she pondered everything that had happened recently. Finally, despite the late hour, she contacted her assistant. "Do you have my husband's medical report from his checkup?" The assistant, half asleep, responded, "Clara, yes, I have it. Do you want me to send it over?" "Send me a copy." Once she hung up, the file came through on her phone. She examined the report carefully. Everything was normal, except for some mild anemia and a vitamin D deficiency, which made sense since I disliked being out in the sun. Relieved by the report, Clara finally relaxed. The next morning, to my surprise, Clara was still at home. I was puzzled. When Ethan wasn't around, she was a complete workaholic. Even with him next door, it was surprising to see her at home at this hour. As I came downstairs, she closed her phone and stood up from the couch. "I booked afternoon tickets to Lhasa," she announced. "Pack your things. We're heading to the airport soon." I was confused by her sudden decision and raised an eyebrow. Seeing my reaction, Clara explained, "I just remembered our anniversary is coming up. I thought we could spend a couple of days there, celebrate, and then come back." I didn't ask what had prompted her to suddenly leave Ethan behind. For years, whether it was my birthday, our anniversary, or just a regular date night, I had been the one to plan everything. Clara would show up if she was free, and if she wasn't, I would often go alone. So for her to come up with this plan today was like a thunderbolt in the dead of winter. It left me completely bewildered. Was it because of our awkward encounter last night? A sudden pang of guilt? An attempt to make it up to me? I took a deep breath and decided to treat it as a farewell trip. After breakfast, I went upstairs and packed clothes for the cold weather and some items to help with high-altitude sickness. Soon after our things were packed, we headed to the airport. I handled the check-in and luggage, and we made it to the waiting area smoothly. With some time to kill before boarding, I decided to grab us some coffee. But when I returned, Clara was nowhere to be seen. At first, I thought she had just gone to the restroom, but after waiting for a while with no sign of her, I called her phone. She answered out of breath. "Leo, I can't make it. You go ahead. I'll meet you there in a couple of days." Standing there in the bustling airport terminal, my face turned pale. The hand holding the coffee cup began to tremble. "Why?" I managed to ask. "Ethan committed suicide?" I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I hung up the phone and went to Lhasa alone. I spun the prayer wheels and made wishes at the monasteries, but my wish had changed. I no longer hoped to grow old with Clara. Instead, I prayed for my own peace and for my health. I didn't contact her during my trip, and she didn't reach out to me either. Her promise to meet me there was never fulfilled. Even after Christmas and our 5th wedding anniversary had passed, there was still no call or message from her. The last trip together? It never happened. The final anniversary? It didn't exist. I wasn't surprised, not really. I hadn't been holding on to much hope anyway. Yet after so many years together, it still hurt. It was a deep, sharp pain that settled in my chest. Back from Lhasa, I went straight to see a lawyer. Given my desire for a quick divorce, the lawyer, Mr. Davies, suggested that I first discuss signing a divorce agreement with Clara and then handle the division of property later. I hesitated. I wasn't sure if initiating a divorce now meant I would have to face the entire Miller family. I felt awkward about the prospect of confronting Clara's parents if they tried to talk me out of it. I was just too tired to deal with all of that. "If I leave the country and authorize you to act on my behalf," I asked, "can you sign the divorce papers with Clara, and then I can finalize everything with her later?" Mr. Davies looked at me calmly and nodded. "Certainly, we can do that. We'll just need you to sign an authorization contract." After signing the necessary contract and authorization, Mr. Davies and I left the building. We hadn't gone far when a group of young women ambushed me. They drenched me in milk tea and coffee, throwing bottles and cans at me. I was completely stunned. "You shameless homewrecker!" one of them screamed. "Go die!" another shouted. "Ethan was too kind. That's why you've been bullying him for years!" Insults came from all directions. As someone shoved me hard from behind, I fell to the ground. Mr. Davies, who had already turned back, saw what was happening and rushed over with building security. "Stop! What are you doing?" he yelled as he pulled me up. He turned to a security guard. "Call the police." One guard, looking stunned, complied, while another helped Mr. Davies with me. I was a mess, completely covered in sticky stains and dirt. Addressing the angry young women, Mr. Davies asked sternly, "Who sent you? Do you realize that this is illegal?" The leader of the group, acting like a delinquent, sneered. "Illegal? We're correcting a wrong. This vile man bullied our Ethan for years." Mr. Davies, clearly aware of the recent news, asked, "This Ethan, you mean the actor Ethan? Stop playing dumb." "So Ethan sent you here?" The girl, full of arrogance, declared, "Ethan is too kind-hearted. That's why we can't stand to see him being bullied." Mr. Davies sneered. "Well, let's see if Ethan shows up to help you out at the police station." The cops arrived quickly. Mr. Davies took me back to his office so I could wash up and change into some spare clothes he had before we headed to the police station to give a statement. On the way, Mr. Davies checked his phone and saw that videos of me being attacked had already gone viral. The comments section was filled with countless insults directed at me. Seeing this, my eyes grew cold. "Mr. Davies," I said, my voice hard, "besides the divorce, I want you to handle this as well. I want to sue everyone who has cursed me online, like the posters of comments with over 500 likes. And those who attacked me today, I'm not letting any of them get away with it." Mr. Davies nodded grimly. "Don't worry, Leo. I'll handle all of it." After finishing at the police station, I felt utterly exhausted. "Leo, let me take you home," Mr. Davies offered. I shook my head. "No need, Mr. Davies. You go ahead. I want to take a walk." With much left to handle, he didn't argue. He sent a message to Noah. "Noah, Leo's not doing well." Noah was in a meeting, but replied quickly. "Okay, I'll contact him." He immediately left the meeting room and called me. Hearing Noah's voice, I managed a weak smile. "I'm fine, don't worry about me. Let's meet up later when you're free." "Leo, let's spend New Year's together this year," Noah said. His invitation was met with a wholehearted yes from me. "Sure, just make sure you're not working overtime." Noah suddenly chuckled over the phone. "I'm definitely not staying late. I'll just take my work home with me if I have to." I snickered and urged him, all right, get back to work. I'm good here." Meanwhile, the incident involving Ethan's fans had managed to get him trending online again. His agent, Marcus, approached him for a chat, and Clara was present. Marcus began by apologizing on behalf of the fans. While he was talking, Clara checked her phone and saw a video of me looking completely beaten up. Her face turned pale. "When did this happen?" she asked, her voice sharp. Marcus glanced at her expression, feeling uneasy and guilty. "It's been almost an hour now. Those fans are still at the police station." Clara tried calling me, but I didn't pick up. Without another word, she grabbed her coat and rushed out, driving away quickly. Ethan, listening to the sound of her car leaving, turned to Marcus and said, "Marcus, this is risky." Marcus sighed deeply. "This is the quickest way to make Clara choose. Even though she's with you now, don't forget she's still married to Leo. If that gets out one day, how do you think you'll clear your name?" On her way to find me, Clara's mind was filled with the image of my disheveled appearance. I hadn't told her I was back from Lhasa, nor did I ask her to pick me up. With all this happening, I hadn't called her, not even a single message. And then it hit her. Ever since we parted ways at the airport that day, I hadn't been in touch at all. I never used to go this long without contacting her. It felt like something precious was slipping away from her. Before she reached the police station, she saw me on the sidewalk across the street, dragging my suitcase. She quickly made a U-turn to catch up with me. "Leo?" Hearing a familiar voice, I turned and saw Clara in the driver's seat. My mind went blank for a moment. It had only been about a week since I'd last seen her, but she seemed so different, so unfamiliar, like a stranger. Clara saw the blank, indifferent look in my eyes. Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly got out of the car, walked over to me, and took my suitcase, putting it in the trunk. "Why didn't you call me to pick you up when you got back?" I didn't answer, just got into the back seat as if I hadn't heard her question. Clara paused for a moment, then got back into the car and started it. She looked at me in the rearview mirror. I was facing the window, looking exhausted and pale, my lips colorless. Taking a closer look, she noticed I had lost weight. You could clearly see the sharp line of my jaw. "Leo, are you hungry? We could grab a bite to eat," she offered. I didn't move and simply said, "Not hungry," then closed my eyes. Taking a deep breath, Clara asked, "Are you hurt?" I slowly opened my eyes. So Clara had seen the post and had rushed over in a fluster. Was it for me? No, that couldn't be right. It must have been because the fans' behavior was tied back to Ethan. "If you're here to advocate for Ethan, don't bother," I said, my voice calm and devoid of any warmth. To Clara, it sounded strange. "The fans did what they did," she said. "They should take responsibility. It has nothing to do with Ethan." No sooner had she finished speaking than she heard a faint, mocking laugh from the back seat. "I'm not here to speak for Ethan." Was my brief reply, as if I didn't want to say another word to her. Back at home, we hadn't even unpacked when Ethan showed up at our door. It looked like he had burns on his cheek, still wrapped in gauze. Wearing hospital clothes, he seemed weak as he walked in, supported by his agent, Marcus. Clara ignored me completely and hurried over to assist him. "Why did you come all the way over here, barely wearing anything?" Ethan clutched Clara's hand and said weakly, "I came to apologize to Leo. It's my fault for not keeping my fans in check and letting them act like that. Leo, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Please don't hold it against them." Before I could respond, Clara interjected, "This isn't your fault. Why are you apologizing? Leo isn't blaming you." Ethan shook his head slightly. "It's Leo's choice whether to forgive or not, but I have to apologize." I looked at him coldly, then glanced at Clara, and finally my eyes landed on their intertwined hands. Seeing my gaze, Clara seemed to feel her hands getting hot. She didn't know whether to let go or keep holding on. "Ethan, you're you, and your fans are your fans. I don't need your apology, but I won't forgive them." "Leo, they're just young," he pleaded. "Give them another chance, please." I frowned, took a deep breath, and spoke firmly. "Why would I? Are you their parent? Or was this all at your command?" When I finished speaking, Ethan's face went pale, and his body swayed. Marcus quickly spoke up in his defense. "Leo, you're right. Ethan is Ethan, and his fans are his fans. We're here apologizing wholeheartedly. There's no need to vent your anger at us." Clara frowned, looking at me and backing Ethan up. "Leo, Ethan's not like that." I didn't care to respond. I just turned and went upstairs. Clara personally escorted Ethan back to the villa next door. I asked the nanny to make me a simple bowl of noodles with greens. I was a bit hungry, yet nothing really appealed to my appetite. After I finished eating, Clara still hadn't returned. I headed to her study to grab the property deed for the villa next door, and accidentally knocked a small bear figurine off her shelf. The figurine shattered on the floor, spilling dozens of heart-shaped notes everywhere. Curiosity got the better of me. I bent down and opened one. It read, "Day 101 post-breakup. The person I'm marrying isn't Ethan, and it seems like it doesn't even matter who it is." I picked up another opened note. It said, "At the wedding, I caught the bride's bouquet. When I turned around, I saw Leo's sparkling eyes. Impulsively, I confessed my feelings while holding the bouquet. Unsurprisingly, he accepted. Although he later tried to act hesitant, I knew he still loved me. He just needed a little more drama to satisfy his ego. After all, he's the partner my parents hoped for, so I should at least put on a show." My hands were trembling, and tears suddenly streamed down my face. I reached for another note. It read, "As our parents wished, we got married." Leo was thrilled, but as I looked at him lying next to me, I wished it was Ethan. A small resentment grew inside me. If it weren't for him, maybe my parents wouldn't have disliked Ethan so much. I neglected him, but he acted like he didn't care, which was really dull. I folded these 3 notes and took them with me, putting all the others back inside the figure. The head was just a snap-on piece. It wasn't broken. I twisted it back into place and returned the figurine to the shelf as if nothing had happened. All those years of love, they were just a joke. Clara disappeared for 2 days. When she finally came back, I had just finished opening the package containing my visa. I discreetly put everything away. She seemed preoccupied and didn't notice what I was doing. I had packed my bags and was heading downstairs when she called out, "Leo, we need to talk." I turned to her and calmly asked, "What's up?" "Ethan attempted suicide again. He's just been saved. I need your help with something." I paused, then walked over and sat down. "Tell me what you need." Clara bit her lip, clearly conflicted. I just quietly waited for her to continue. "I need us to get a temporary divorce," she said. "Ethan needs me right now." I looked at her silently, then nodded slightly. "Okay." "Do we need to get a divorce certificate?" I asked. "Yes." "Then let's go now." On the way to the civil affairs office, Clara's heart felt empty and anxious. I had agreed so calmly without asking when we'd get back together. Did I trust her that much? "Once he recovers, we'll get our marriage certificate back," she said. I nodded slightly. Yeah, I understand. As I spoke, I was also on my phone, booking a flight. With the divorce finalized, I could leave on the afternoon flight. Conveniently, it didn't require any layovers. The divorce was processed quickly. As we left, Clara said, "Leo, you also need to make a public statement. Say we were divorced before, and that Ethan didn't break up our marriage." Holding the freshly stamped divorce certificate, I looked at Clara and slowly smiled, though my eyes felt stingingly wet. Okay? After dropping me home, Clara headed to see Ethan, probably to tell him the news that she was now divorced. I had already packed my things. I quickly loaded my suitcase into the car I had arranged, confirmed all my documents were in place, and had my packed boxes ready for the movers. Noah took time off work to drive me to the airport. After I went through security, he headed back to his office. Once I was on the plane, I made a post online. Clara and I have been divorced for some time. Best wishes to her and Ethan. I tagged both of them. When the flight attendant announced that the plane would soon take off and that all electronic devices should be switched to airplane mode, I typed a short final post. It was just 2 words. Goodbye. Ethan cried to Clara, saying he had never gotten over her. He had just pretended to forget, but had gone crazy with jealousy seeing her and me together. He hated himself for being so weak back then and not persisting. He said he wouldn't be able to survive without her. Since they had split up, he had been depressed and struggled with insomnia. He pleaded with her to pity him. I, even after the divorce, was still seen as the privileged son of the White family. Ethan was not. He had nothing. Clara was his entire world. If she didn't want him, he felt he had no will to live. Clara still cared for Ethan. She had never fully let go. While they might not rekindle their old flame, she couldn't let him die. He needed to live. She rushed to the hospital right after getting the divorce certificate, and he held her tightly. But her thoughts kept drifting to my teary smile at the government office. She wondered what I was doing right then. While Ethan followed the doctor's orders and rested, Clara sent me a message on WeChat. "Leo, what are you doing?" I didn't reply. It was as if the message had vanished into the ether. She sent another. "Want to have hot pot tonight? It's been a while." Still no answer. She checked my social media. It was quiet. I hadn't posted the statement she had asked for. She thought about quickly going home while Ethan was asleep. But before she even left the hospital elevator, she saw that I had posted. "We've been divorced. Blessings to Clara and Ethan," tagging them both. I had disabled the comments. Suddenly, her phone lit up with calls. She answered her mom's call and explained that it was a fake divorce, that we were only temporarily separated. Her mom yelled at her, telling her to contact me immediately and that we should both come home for dinner. Clara agreed and tried calling me, but my phone was off. Looking back at my posts, she noticed I had added another one, just the words "goodbye." A wave of panic washed over her as she hurried back to our villa. The housekeeper was off that day, so the whole place was silent. She called out my name, but there was no response. She glanced at the entryway and noticed the spot where I usually left my bag was empty. She opened the shoe cabinet. All my shoes were gone. Only hers and a few pairs of disposable slippers remained. Suddenly panicking, she looked back at the wall where our wedding photo used to hang. It was still bare. She remembered me saying I needed to clean the frame. That was days ago. How could I not be finished yet? Calling my name again, she rushed upstairs. The bedroom was empty. All my clothes had vanished from the closet. The dressing table was bare. My skincare products were gone. She hurried into the walk-in closet and found it completely empty. It couldn't be. In just a few hours, how had I cleared everything out so fast? She thought about how I had been packing up the study. Those boxes she had seen were all gone. The bookshelves and desk were empty. Standing in the silent study, her whole body felt weak. She dialed my number repeatedly, only to hear the automated message that my phone was turned off. Frantically, she called again and went into the master bathroom, realizing it was all spotless. I had moved everything out. She texted me, "Leo, where are you? We're only fake divorced. It's fake." Clara figured I must have just moved to one of our other houses. She drove around to all our apartments and villas, but there was no trace of me anywhere. Coming back to our home, she noticed a real estate agent showing the house next door. She quickly ran over. "This house isn't for sale." The agent looked puzzled, then double-checked the address, confirming they were in the right place. "This is Leo White's house, right?" "I'm his wife," Clara said. The agent frowned slightly, then said, "Ma'am, Mr. White told us he's divorced and doesn't have a wife. He's entrusted all his properties in this city to us for sale." Clara wanted to explain, but she suddenly remembered it had been days since I said I was listing the property. Had I told them I was divorced that long ago? "When did he instruct you to do this?" she asked. The young agent, seeing her dark expression, answered truthfully, "Over 10 days ago." Clara stood frozen. She had never said she wanted a divorce, but I had apparently wanted one all that time ago. She couldn't believe it. I must have just hidden away somewhere in anger. As she turned to leave, the agent said, "Are you Miss Miller?" Clara paused. "Did he leave a message for me?" "Mr. White said the house is temporarily lent to a friend of yours, and if anyone comes to view it, we should contact you to find another place for your friend." Clara replied coldly, "I'll buy this house. There's no need for any more viewings, and all his other properties, I'll buy them all. Bring the contracts to me tomorrow." Clara left quickly. She called Noah, but he didn't pick up. She drove to his company and found him just leaving a meeting. His expression was indifferent. "Congratulations, Clara. Back to being single." Hearing Noah's sarcastic tone, Clara knew he must know where I was. "Where is Leo?" she asked, getting straight to the point. Noah looked at her with an amused sneer. "What does Clara Miller want with her ex-husband? Honestly, this is so interesting. You could ignore him when he was your spouse, but now that you're divorced, you come looking for him." "Noah, ours was a fake divorce," she insisted. "It was an agreement between us." Noah laughed outright. "Clara, a divorce is a divorce. Once you go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and get the certificate, it's real. What did you think your marriage was? Who did you think Leo was? He chased after you for years. Isn't that enough? Should he also have to put up with public humiliation? So you played around, and he's supposed to wait for you like a fool, get divorced, let you go have your fun, and then wait for you to come back and remarry him?" Clara felt anger rising at his words. "Noah, you're going too far." Noah, raising an eyebrow with disdain, replied, "If you don't want to hear it, Clara, please leave." Taking a deep breath, Clara steadied herself. "Where did he go?" "Tell you, so you can chase after him? Clara, could you actually go and tell Leo's parents and his sister that you got a fake divorce for another man? If you dare to do that, I'll tell you where he is." Clara's heart sank. "He went back to London?" Noah didn't speak, and Clara shook her head, mumbling to herself, "Impossible. Visas take time. Did he plan on leaving all along?" Noah simply looked at her without responding. Knowing about my condition, when the tumor was discovered and during Clara's betrayal with Ethan, he understood how disappointed and desperate I must have felt to quietly, subtly, plan my exit from the relationship. "He planned this for a while?" she asked. Noah concealed what he knew. "I don't know." Studying Noah's expression, Clara already understood. My leaving wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was carefully planned. I had wanted to leave her well before now. But why? I had loved her so much. How could I suddenly decide to leave? Thinking of this, she called her secretary and instructed her to book the next flight to London. The secretary reminded her over the phone, "Clara, the board meeting is this Friday." Clara paused. It clashed with the board meeting, And with the prior issue involving Ethan, the shareholders were already quite displeased. She had to attend this meeting. "Book it for the day after the board meeting," she said. After calling Clara, her mother, Eleanor, attempted to reach me with no luck. Worried, she visited the villa. She found Clara sitting dejectedly on the sofa. The place felt empty. My shoes and bags were gone, as were my clothes. Even our wedding photo was taken down. Eleanor's face changed drastically as she rushed towards Clara, not even bothering to take off her shoes. "Clara, where's Leo? Are you really in such a rush to kick him out? So eager to get that man to move in?" Susan was on the verge of losing her composure. Clara looked up at her mom's furious face and let out a sarcastic laugh. "Leo's gone!" "Where did he go?" "London." "Don't worry," Clara promised, holding her hand high. "I'll get him back." Eleanor opened her mouth, but couldn't speak. She turned around and saw the divorce papers tossed on the couch. She rushed over, grabbed them, and seeing the official stamp, threw the papers at Clara's head in a rage. "Clara, you must be out of your mind. This is your idea of a fake? Fake? Who are you faking here?" After yelling at Clara, Eleanor texted me, her voice cracking by the end of the message. She said it was her pressure that had made Clara marry me. She had watched me grow up, and even if I wasn't her son-in-law anymore, I was still like a son to her. Clara had wronged me, and she vowed she would make her apologize to me and more. Ethan was discharged from the hospital. He had tried calling Clara countless times, but she didn't answer. He felt a bit panicked, but thinking about the divorce papers Clara had shown him, he quickly calmed down. He asked Marcus to handle his discharge and headed to the villa next door alone. Seeing the doors to the villa where Clara and I had lived open, he had his driver pull in. There was no sign of me inside, just a very downcast Clara. Ethan subtly frowned. He'd seen this side of Clara before, back when they had broken up years ago. But now? Was it because of the divorce from me? When she was at the hospital earlier, she wasn't like this. "Where's Leo? Did he move out?" The second he asked, Eleanor's voice came from upstairs, and he looked up to see her slowly descending the stairs. "Even if Leo has left, don't you think for a second you can just move in here, Ethan?" Seeing Eleanor, Ethan's heart skipped a beat, but he kept a straight back and greeted her softly. "Ma'am?" Eleanor was still seething with anger, racing down the stairs, clearly intent on confronting him. Clara quickly spoke. "Let's go." Marcus helped Ethan out of the house quickly. Eleanor followed them, watching him go to the villa next door. She turned to Clara and asked, "Who let him live there?" Clara was speechless. Eleanor took a deep breath and said, "I see now. I finally understand why you never really warmed up to Leo all these years. You're punishing me because of Ethan, and you're dragging Leo into it, humiliating him like this. I truly regret it." Clara saw her mom's eyes were practically red with anger. She tried to explain. "Leo agreed to it." Eleanor let out a slight, bitter laugh. "Leo is so decent he'd agree to his wife having her first love stay in his home. You're a hell of a wife, Clara. It's exactly what you deserve. If you like Ethan so much, go be with him. But Clara, if you two end up together, remember to pay back those $7 million. After the long flight, I finally landed at Heathrow. I hadn't even collected my luggage when my sister, Sophia, called. I thought just she was picking me up, but at the exit I saw her husband, and both of my parents waiting for me. Tears welled up in my eyes as I bit my lip, rushing with my suitcase towards them. "Dad, Mom, why are you all here?" My mom looked at me tenderly. "Leo, you've lost weight." My brother-in-law chimed in, "They've missed you. Once they heard you were coming, they couldn't just stay at home and wait." I looked at my brother-in-law, who handed me a bouquet of flowers, saying softly, "Welcome home, Leo." I took the bouquet and hugged him. "Thanks, bro." Sophia, seeing me like this, gently ruffled my hair. Coming alone to London, looking so worn and thin, she knew something serious must have happened between me and Clara. But since I didn't share, they didn't pry. Back in the familiar warmth of home, surrounded by the family who cared about me the most, my spirits began to lift. My sister even threw a little party to celebrate my return, which left me amused. "I'm not a teenager anymore. This is embarrassing," I said. Sophia smiled affectionately at me. "You'll always be my little brother." My parents nodded in agreement. "In our hearts, too." My brother-in-law came out with coffee, smiling. "In mine as well." Their young nephew ran out from his room, tossing aside his toys, and shouted, "Uncle, me too, in my heart too." I scooped him up, chuckling and tousling his hair. After a bite to eat, I went to bed, needing to shake off the exhaustion and jet lag. Waking up under the bright London sunshine, I grabbed my phone. It was full of unread messages. Aside from letting Noah know I had arrived safely, I had ignored all of Eleanor's and Clara's texts. I opened Eleanor's chat. There were so many messages, some with voice notes, and finally an apology asking for me to confirm I had made it okay. Taking a deep breath, I video called her back. After all, even if Clara and I were divorced, the Millers and the Whites had ties going way back. We might continue to cross paths. The elders had never wronged me, and I couldn't ignore manners as the younger one. Eleanor picked up almost immediately. I still called her Mom, then said, "I'm sorry to you and Dad for keeping you in the dark. Clara and I are divorced." Eleanor was quiet for a moment, and then said, "We wronged you. Are you in London now?" I nodded. She apologized on behalf of Clara, but said I didn't need to forgive her. "Mom, don't feel guilty," I said. "It's just that Clara and I aren't meant to be. It's fine for us to stop here. Everything's still okay." I could tell she felt really guilty, so I didn't say much more and just mentioned I was going to get breakfast before ending the video call. Then I opened Clara's message. I saw the one that said the divorce was fake. I smirked bitterly and didn't reply. The divorce was done. There wasn't much point in staying in touch. As I was about to get out of bed, a call from Clara came in. I hung up. She called again. I hung up again. She called a third time. I was starting to get annoyed, so I finally answered. "What's up?" Clara heard my cold tone and felt a pang in her heart. I sounded like a stranger. "Leo, are you in London?" I frowned and repeated, "If you have something to say, just say it." Clara was taken aback. She paused before asking, "Leo, what do you mean?" "What do you mean, what do I mean?" "Why did you leave home without saying anything?" she demanded. I chuckled lightly, feeling a bit cynical. In the past, when I'd be gone for a day or two or three, she never seemed to care. Now she wanted to ask. "Do I have to report my whereabouts to my ex-wife?" Clara said firmly, "Our divorce is fake. Didn't we agree on that?" My expression darkened as I replied coolly, "Clara, we got a divorce certificate. That means we're divorced. Legally, we have no relationship." Hearing my words, Clara crushed the wine glass she was holding in her hand. Wine and blood mixed, staining the carpet. "Leo, you tricked me. You lied to me." I bit my lip, my vision blurring. How could I have tricked her? If there was any trickery, it was I who had been tricked. "Clara, I didn't make you go to Ethan. I didn't make him take those actions. The gossip in town made me a joke. I never criticized you, never questioned you, never fought with you. I never pushed for this divorce. You asked for it, and I agreed. How is that me lying to you?" By the end, my voice was choked with emotion. Clara felt a pang in her heart. She had never heard me speak so much at once, had never seen me so upset. But through my words, she understood. "Leo, Ethan, and I are in the past. There's nothing between us. The person I love is you. I love you." Hearing her say she loved me didn't make me happy. It just made me feel incredibly sad. Since the day we married, she had never sincerely said those words to me. It turns out she could say them after all. "But Clara," I said, my voice hollow, "I don't love you anymore. Let's not contact each other again. I don't want to hear your voice, and I don't want to know anything more about you." I was about to hang up when she said, "Leo, we need to talk face to face. There's a board meeting on Friday. I booked a flight to London for Saturday. Let's talk when I get there. Blame me or hate me, it's all my fault. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. Leo, we're still husband and wife." I said calmly, "We're not husband and wife anymore, Clara. Don't make me hate you." I hung up. Undeterred, she kept calling. I simply blocked her number. The words had already been spoken. The welcome home party was happening that night at our family's estate. I gave a short speech, and everyone was dancing and having a great time. But before the party ended, I fainted and was rushed to the hospital. My tumor had burst, requiring emergency surgery. My family waited for over 10 hours outside the operating room. My mom wanted to call Clara, but Sophia stopped her. "Mom, don't. Leo doesn't want to see her." My mom didn't have time to figure out what had happened between us. Her whole heart was with me in that operating room. I made it through. I woke up in the ICU a day later. My situation could have been much worse. The White family had a top-notch medical team, so I was able to go home to recover. My mom took care of me closely. While sorting through my luggage, she found the divorce papers and the medical diagnosis from over a month ago. It broke her heart. Such a big thing, and I hadn't told them. If they hadn't come to London in time, if something had happened mid-flight or on the way, what would I have done? Seeing the date on the divorce papers, my mom took a photo and contacted someone back home to find out why we had divorced. Upon learning it was because of Ethan, she was trembling with anger. "I won't let him get away with this," she vowed. Sophia said, "Mom, let's deal with it after Leo is better. If Clara hadn't been irresponsible, that little star wouldn't have had anything to do with Leo. Ultimately, it's Clara's fault." My mom lamented, "Leo put his whole heart into her. I should never have agreed to that marriage." Sophia gently patted her arm to comfort her. On Saturday morning, S City was foggy and blanketed in snow by the time Clara headed to the airport. All flights were delayed due to a strong snowstorm, making flying impossible for the next few days. She canceled her flight and had her driver take her to R City, thinking she could fly from there. But a car accident on the highway made her miss her flight. And with the snowstorm hitting R City too, she was stuck. She tried calling me, but couldn't get through. She tried a new number, and after it rang for a while, someone finally picked up. "Leo, there's a snowstorm here. The plane can't take off, so it'll be a few days before I can get there." There was silence on the other end. After a long time, she frowned a bit. "Leo, are you listening?" A woman listened to the call, watching me sleep soundly in my bed. Her eyes were cold, like 1,000-year-old ice. After a long silence, she eventually spoke in a low voice. "Leo's asleep. I'll tell him when he wakes up. May I ask who's calling?" The voice was unfamiliar. It wasn't Sophia or my parents picking up my calls. In that instant, Clara felt a rush of blood to her head. "Who are you?" she demanded sharply. The woman recognized the anger in her voice, but just chuckled indifferently, her tone filled with mockery. "Who do you think I am? I'm the person here with him right now." She spoke unhurriedly, slowly, and calmly. Clara's mind raced with all sorts of images. She and I were just pretending to be divorced, yet, in just a few days, there was already someone else by my side. "Who exactly are you? Stay away from Leo." The woman, Dr. Ava Chen, curled her lips, then hung up the phone. She looked up at me in bed. As she was about to put the phone away, she noticed I was quietly watching her. Ava felt a bit awkward. She had answered my call without permission and had mocked Clara. I might be upset. "Leo, I'm sorry." I smiled slightly. "Why sorry? I should be thanking you, Dr. Chen, for performing that surgery and saving my life." Thinking about that surgery still made Ava a bit anxious. It was the most dangerous surgery she had ever performed, and the patient on the table was the boy she had secretly liked for years. If she hadn't saved me, she probably never would have returned to the operating room again. "That tumor was dangerous," she said. "You should have had the surgery back home." I looked at her. This woman was not only my surgeon, but also my sister's best friend. I had never dared to get too close to her. The way she looked at me always felt invasive. Back then, I was young and scared without knowing why. In retrospect, it was her determined affection. My sister had mentioned Ava's way of doing things, and I had an idea of what that meant now. "I'm divorced from Clara," I stated simply. Ava looked at me. I hadn't told anyone, but for years she had been following my life closely. She knew about the divorce before my own family did. She also learned about the tumor in my head. So she returned to the country, coincidentally on the same flight as me. My mood had been so bad that I hadn't noticed her. If I had paid attention, I would have seen they were sitting very close. Back at the White's estate, she waited for me to tell my family to call her for a checkup, but the call never came. At the dance, she asked me to dance, and then I fainted. Taking me to the hospital, her legs felt weak. She kept telling herself to stay calm, that she had to perform the surgery. As I listened to her calm recounting, I furrowed my brow slightly, puzzled. "Dr. Chen, you already knew about this?" Ava gave a slight smile, carelessly taking a pen from her pocket. "Your aunt saw the divorce papers in your luggage, so now the whole family knows." I was momentarily speechless. "Is that so?" Ava noted my vitals for the day. Hearing my words, she slowly glanced over. I responded, "It's nothing." The room's atmosphere tensed, and Ava abruptly spoke. "Just call me Ava. Dr. Chen sounds too distant." My eyes shifted slightly. "Is that appropriate?" Ava smirked, raising an eyebrow at me. "I don't want you as a little brother. Choose between Ava and Dr. Chen." I sighed softly, resigned to comply. The lifesaver's words were law. Ava closed her notebook, putting the pen back. "How about a little test run of my name?" she asked seriously. I couldn't help but shoot her a look, causing her to laugh. "Looks like your eye movements are normal. Rest up." When Ava mentioned I had woken up, my mom came rushing up, her eyes full of concern, asking if I felt unwell, if I was hungry, or if I needed water. Each question carried a weight of worry. I felt both guilty and loved. "Mom, I'm fine. Ava said my recovery is going well." My mom held my hand tightly. With Ava's words in mind, I hesitated but decided to speak up. "Mom, Clara and I are divorced. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner." My mom nodded softly. "We already know, but why didn't you tell us about something this big?" "I could handle it," I insisted. Afterward, needing to rest, I sipped some porridge before lying back down. After my mom left, I picked up my phone and saw messages from an unknown number. "Leo? Who was that woman? Did you want the divorce all along? Why? You liked me a lot. Why? I bought a ticket leaving from Z City. I'll be in London the morning after tomorrow. We can meet up and chat." I took a deep breath. In my current state, I really didn't want to see Clara. Flipping through my WhatsApp, I suddenly saw a name pop up. Ava. When did I add her on WhatsApp? I sent a question mark. "Ava?" A quick reply came back. "It's me." I read the 2 words, unsure of what to say. I saw the typing dots from the other side. and after a while, another message came through. "Anything up?" I replied, "Nothing." After a moment, Ava sent another message. "Really nothing? Do you want me to tell Sophia to find you a quiet place to recover?" I was speechless. "Did you install a camera in my brain during surgery or something?" Ava couldn't help but chuckle at my message. The next day, she talked to Sophia and took me to her private estate. It wasn't too far, convenient for my family to visit, but Clara wouldn't be able to see me. No one in my family wanted me to meet Clara again, especially not when I was this weak. It wouldn't help my recovery. Clara rushed to London, knowing our family's address. She went directly there. Sophia's face turned sour when she showed up, but she still let her in. As soon as Clara walked in, she noticed that only I managed a slight, professional smile while talking to her. The rest of my family were stone-faced. "Clara, what brings you to London?" my dad asked, leaving her tongue-tied. "They knew we were divorced, of course. I wouldn't have kept quiet about that." Thinking it through, she answered in a serious tone. "Mom, Dad, I came to take Leo back." My mom scoffed. "You're divorced. We can't accept you calling us Mom and Dad. Besides, since you're divorced, Leo is a free man. What makes you think you can take him back?" Recalling her own mom's words, she wondered if she had the guts to say to my parents that the divorce was fake. She couldn't bring herself to say it. After a pause, she finally said, "I know you have every reason to blame me, but there's a misunderstanding between Leo and me. I never wanted to divorce him." My mom wasn't going to sugarcoat it. She sneered, lifting her gaze. "A misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? Are you saying no one forced you to go get the divorce papers?" Clara looked at my mom, bit her lip, then said firmly, "Mom, Leo and I had a fake divorce. We planned it." Sophia couldn't listen any longer, her expression turning icy. "Clara, was that your plan? Was it Leo who suggested a fake divorce, or was it you?" Clara couldn't say a word. Sophia chuckled lightly. "Not talking, huh? So it was you who proposed the fake divorce? Leo is a kind guy. He's young and hasn't met many people. His heart was set on you. You knew he liked you, loved you, so you took advantage of his love to push him around. You think we're all dead? Get out!" Clara watched Sophia's anger, feeling a chill. She bit her lip and said, "I know I did Leo wrong, but I love him. You can do whatever you want to me, but please let me see Leo. We need to talk." My family stayed silent. My father forced a professional smile as he looked at Clara. "Clara, it's not us keeping you from seeing Leo. He's out taking a break, not at home. You should call him yourself and arrange to meet. You're both adults now. It's up to you. We're about to have lunch. Are you staying or Clara saw their expressions. My father must really not be home, if he said so himself. Naturally, she wouldn't stick around for lunch. After she left, she tried calling and texting me, but it was like sending messages into a void. She waited around our family's estate but never saw me. That's when she started believing I really wasn't home. I learned that Clara was in London. In my weak state, I didn't want to see her, so I avoided her. More than 10 days passed, and Sophia dropped by. "Has Clara contacted you again?" "She hasn't left yet. She's still hanging around our family's place every day." I looked at Sophia, taking a deep breath. "Sometimes I really want to call the cops." Sophia patted me gently. "If it weren't for Uncle's sake, I would have called them already. How are you recovering? You look better than a few days ago." As she spoke, she sized me up, her expression shifting to a slight frown. "You even look a bit healthier." I chuckled awkwardly. "Ava's cooking is pretty good. Lately she's been force-feeding me late-night snacks." After I mentioned it, Sophia seemed puzzled. "What did you say? Ava can cook? She knows how to make food?" I paused for a moment, then asked, "Doesn't she?" "She's been freeloading at our place since she was a teen. She always said she couldn't cook, that she just came over to eat. I've never had a single dish made by her. What has she been making for you?" I was surprised to learn this about Ava. Seeing my sister in a jealous rage, I chose to keep quiet. Sophia took a look around and asked, "Where's Ava?" And with that, she got up to go find her. Ava was actually downstairs in the kitchen. Sophia, used to finding her on the second or third floor, had come straight upstairs without checking. Now she ran down to find Ava wearing glasses, her sleeves rolled up, an apron tied around her waist, fully focused on slicing fish and removing the bones. Sophia came closer and saw the slices were paper thin, almost transparent. "What are you making?" "Seafood porridge," Ava responded casually. Sophia grabbed her by the neck, looking dramatically shocked. "You can make seafood porridge? I've fed you for so many years and I haven't even had your fried rice, you jerk." Ava gently pushed her away and said with a knowing look, "You think you deserve to eat my cooking, Sophia? We've been friends for ages, and if you were worth it, you'd have eaten it already. Go reflect on why you haven't—" Sophia squinted, watching her intently. "You're not joking?" Ava adjusted her glasses with the back of her hand, then laughed. "I'm not joking about this." Sophia took a deep breath, quietly sizing up her longtime friend, thinking it through seriously. She couldn't come up with a reason to argue. "He just got divorced?" "Right," Ava smirked. "He's divorced now." "All these years," Sophia said, "and I never noticed, you little—" Ava ignored her, chuckling carelessly. As Sophia drove away from the estate, she suddenly remembered she hadn't actually done what she'd come for. To suggest I meet with Clara and then send her on her way. Her lurking by the door every day was getting irritating. Thinking of this, she turned the car back around. I nodded at my sister's suggestion. That afternoon I was in relatively good spirits. I changed clothes, put on a hat, and Ava drove me to a nearby cafe, waiting in the car for me. I settled in, ordered a dessert, and sent Clara the address. It was a bit of a drive, so it took her over 20 minutes to arrive. She marched straight over, seeing me in the corner. "Leo." I looked at her calmly. "Sit down. What would you like to drink?" She turned to order a coffee. Before she could speak, I said, "Sophia told me you've been waiting outside my family's house for me. Half a month, and you're still not home. Has Ethan finished with his suicidal stunts?" Clara paused and then said, "So, you're mad at me over Ethan?" I chuckled softly. I should have known better than to bring that up. "Clara, I never thought talking to you would feel like talking to a wall. I say one thing, and you answer something completely irrelevant." Her face fell at my words. She quietly observed me. I seemed to have gained some weight, but I looked somewhat frail. I was wearing a hat, which wasn't like the old me. She was about to ask about it, but I cut her off. "I'm here. Say whatever you need to say. Ask anything you want to ask." I glanced at my watch. "I'm a bit tired. I'd like to leave in 40 minutes. Clara's lips trembled. "So, you don't plan to come back with me, do you?" I nodded. "That's right." "Why?" I laughed out loud, furrowing my brows at her. "Why do you think, Clara? Why wouldn't I come back?" "Because of Ethan. There's nothing between us. I just helped him because of an accident." "Really? Did you need to divorce me to help him? I asked you to join me at the hospital, and you didn't say a word before going straight to our city. We planned a trip to Lhasa, and you left me at the airport for a cup of coffee and never showed up. Didn't you say you'd meet me there after a couple of days?" Clara spoke quietly. "I'm sorry. That was my mistake." I shook my head slightly. I didn't care anymore. She couldn't mend what she had broken with a simple apology. Divorce meant we were better off apart. No apologies were necessary. "I'm not looking for an apology. I'm just giving an example. Clara, my heart has been dead for a while now. I don't need an apology. I don't want forgiveness, and I don't want to see you anymore." My voice was rough, while Clara bit her lip, her eyes reddening. Leo, why did your love fade so quickly? I'm unprepared and defenseless. Clara, seriously? At least I loved you once. What about you? You walked all over me and then had the nerve to act affectionate in front of my family? How can you claim to love me? Clara froze, stunned by my words. Was she really mistreating me in our marriage? She thought she hadn't. She hadn't stayed in touch with Ethan for years. She kept to the boundaries of a married woman. He might have been special, but never above me. She just wanted him to live well. There are misunderstandings between us. I can apologize for what happened with Ethan, but I really do love you, or I wouldn't be here. I covered my face with my hands, eventually lowering them. I'd love to ignore Ethan, but I can't. Before this mess, how often did we travel together? Did you ever plan an anniversary trip? Did you ever organize my birthday? We talked about making wishes in Lhasa for years, and it never happened. It took Ethan's unexpected incident for me to see clearly that what I had been holding on to was all for nothing. It was worthless. Clara felt suffocated by the weight on her chest. She had no words or defenses against my accusations. So, when I talked about a fake divorce, you were already thinking about a real one when you went to get the divorce papers? That's right. I had already lined up a lawyer to talk about divorce, but I hadn't made up my mind yet. Then you suggested a fake divorce. Clara, we were destined to split up. Clara felt a wave of regret. If I had known you felt this way, I wouldn't have suggested a fake divorce. Well, I'm glad we're done. I sighed with relief. Clara, let's just end it here. No one would believe you love me with the way you've acted. Stop shouting slogans, it's nauseating. Let's just keep things cordial when we run into each other in the future. After I finished speaking, Clara shook her head repeatedly. Leo, it's not like that, not at all. I was wrong before. Give me another chance. I'll change. I promise I will. She spoke desperately, her words jumbled. I felt a sudden wave of disgust. I should go. You should too. I was about to leave, but she held on to me. I was too weak to struggle, so I just sat there quietly. I slowly took off my hat, revealing a bald head with a long surgical scar. It looked like a grotesque centipede. Clara's face turned pale with shock. What happened to you? I gave a sad smile. Clara, the day I called you to the hospital, it was because they had diagnosed me with a brain tumor. I needed immediate surgery. I needed a family member's signature. I might have died on the operating table. But you went to see Ethan. Clara stepped back, shaking her head in disbelief. Why didn't you tell me? What would telling you have done? Clara, would it have ended with you saying, Leo, you're even faking an illness now? My voice was filled with bitterness. I'm lucky I got back here in time. The attack happened when I was with my family, and I lived. Clara, I don't love you anymore. Stop bothering me. Clara stood there as if she'd been plunged into a cold hell. Looking at my surgical scar, she realized she had lost me for good. After facing life and death, I had completely let her go. I once loved her so much, but now I was done. She was frantic, her words chaotic. She wanted to keep me, but had no more ways to do so. Leo, this isn't fair! You sentenced me without saying anything. It's not fair to me. Fair? Clara, I didn't tell you I wanted a divorce, and we got one. Just like you didn't tell me you married me without loving me. You were one thing, and I was another. If you really break it down, it's me who was done wrong. Who's going to give me back those 5 years? Clara felt completely hopeless. She asked incredulously, Did you see what was inside the bear figurine? I didn't answer, just stared at her. My gaze pierced her like a sword, leaving her with nowhere to hide. Leo, those don't count. Back then, You can say back then doesn't count, but all 5 years of our marriage matched what you wrote and hid in that figure. I knew about your coldness and just hoped that one day it would change. That's all." I put my hat back on, picked up my bag, and stood up. I paid the bill and left the cafe. Ava had already pulled the car around and was waiting for me. Seeing me come out, she got out, opened the car door for me, and buckled me in. She placed my bag in the back seat. Clara watched this woman, remembered the voice on the phone, and rushed out to chase after us. "Leo? Who is she?" Ava had just opened her door, but hearing Clara's question, she responded icily, "I'm his admirer. Got a problem with that ex-wife?" If looks could kill, Clara would have killed Ava 1,000 times over. Ava just chuckled at her. "Head back home soon. You don't want something bad happening to you in the UK, do you?" Ava's eyes were sharp. She loathed Clara, had for 5 years, and found her even more unpleasant now. If Clara continued to linger in London bothering me, my family might be unable to do anything, but Ava could. Listening to Ava, I spoke up. "Ava, let's go." Since some of our older relatives weren't very active on social media, I quickly posted a status update from the car to announce my divorce from Clara officially. After that, I tucked away my phone and leaned back for a nap. "Feeling tired? Want to stretch out and sleep in the back?" Ava asked with concern while driving. I opened my eyes and looked at her, smiling. "We're almost home. I can hang in there." My phone buzzed with WeChat messages, probably questions about the divorce. I was too tired to answer, so I decided to just turn it off. Ethan logged into Clara's alternate social media account and saw my divorce announcement, sharing it again. Then, someone speculated that our divorce was recent, not from before, claiming it was a lie to clear Ethan's name from being the other man. Once that idea surfaced, people recalled seeing Clara and me at the Civil Affairs office the day I posted the status. And Ethan? He had been with Clara all along. His agency needed to clear things up, and they needed Clara to cooperate. Right now, only she and I, stepping up, could defend him effectively. But Clara had gone off the grid. Ethan couldn't reach her, so his agency had no choice but to share my original post. They even mentioned that the rumor spreaders would get a lawyer's letter. Noah knew about me fainting in London. He had rushed there the moment he heard, saw me in the ICU, and waited for me to recover before quickly heading to Hong Kong for a meeting. He was well aware of why I had posted that update, the fake divorce with Clara, which had now turned real. Clara was stuck in London and wouldn't come back, and Noah had joked with Sophia about it several times. Clara had screwed up, but Ethan wasn't much better. He kept stirring the pot. If things weren't pre-planned, why did he call Clara first when things went down? If she had gone to the hospital with me, I would have had the surgery in the country, and maybe it wouldn't have ended up in such a mess. Thinking about how I had an incident the day after I got to London, Noah felt a shiver down his spine. Now, seeing Ethan and his agency spreading my post online, he wanted to reply directly. But he decided to respect my decision and contacted Sophia first. She was clear. I was kind-hearted. But they, the Whites, would not be pushed around. Sophia told Noah not to call me. She would talk to me face-to-face for better communication. Noah agreed. Sophia approached me about Ethan. I seemed indifferent. "They can't find Clara, so they're using you, Leo," she said. "Don't be so kind." I looked at her, having survived a brush with death, and said it didn't matter anymore. I told her I didn't care what she did, and that I was just concentrating on recovering. I had already given too much of myself in my relationship with Clara. Since I had let go, I wouldn't even spare it a second glance. Shortly after Ethan shared the post, Noah clarified things online for me. He stated I was recovering post-surgery and that he would handle the response. That post was part of our divorce deal. I had no choice. On the day of Ethan's accident, I had found out I had a tumor, but couldn't wait for Clara to be there for surgery since Ethan's agent had whisked her away. Noah tagged Ethan and his agency and asked why they had contacted someone else's wife first, rather than their own company leaders. Was this prearranged? Noah's post dropped two truths. The early divorce was fake, and the actual divorce had happened on the day of the post. His questions also raised suspicion about Ethan contacting Clara and whether the accident was planned. Seeing Noah's update, Marcus was left speechless, while Ethan was so furious that he smashed his cup and cursed Noah. "Who does he think he is, meddling in other people's business?" Marcus was deep in thought when Ethan snapped at him. "What are you gawking at? Think of a solution." Just as Marcus was about to respond, his phone rang. It was the boss, calling for a meeting to discuss Ethan's work assignments. Marcus felt a bit uneasy and asked boldly, "Boss, is there a new job plan?" Ethan perked up to listen. They both heard a chuckle through the line. "Get over here fast. Every client wants to cancel their contract with Ethan, and we need to pay damages because it's all his fault." By the time Marcus and Ethan arrived, the marketing and PR departments and the boss were all waiting in the conference room. As they walked in, the head of PR shot Marcus an accusing glare. "We aren't sitting idle here. But before we could respond, someone blew it up. Seriously, Ethan, why would you share Leo's post? You thought no one would notice? Divorce papers have dates." Ethan hadn't dealt with such anger before, and snapped back. "If we don't act, what's your brilliant plan, PR team?" "There was a plan," they replied. "But now it's too late. The brands want out. Has Ethan reached Clara yet? If she could show up to support him or pay the penalties, there might be a chance." Clara showed up over 2 weeks later. Someone spotted her by the river, and Ethan rushed over but missed her. When he returned, he found her at their villa. He hugged her tightly. "Clara, where have you been? How did you turn into this?" Her gaze was distant. She just looked quietly, neither resisting nor responding. After a while, Henry wept. "I was worried sick." Clara felt numb. The image of my scar kept appearing in her mind. If not for me being there early and getting lucky, my situation would have made her feel guilty forever. I once loved her so much. I probably still did. But Ethan's presence had made me disappointed in her. "Let's get married," her soft voice echoed in the empty villa. Ethan froze, then with tears of joy, embraced her tightly. "Yes, let's get married." His contract with the company was finalized, though he had to pay a penalty. Eleanor had always said she disliked her dating guys from the entertainment industry, so he figured he'd use this chance to step back from it all. He was busy setting up wedding arrangements, getting everything ready for the big day. He thought Clara would be thrilled to join him in planning, but that wasn't the case. She was often working late at the office and would get home only to crash right into bed. Every day he prepared hangover soup and homemade snacks for when she returned, but she hardly touched them. Even with a wedding on the horizon, the two of them still slept in separate rooms. It seemed like, even though marriage was the plan, she was pulling further away from him. With the new year approaching, Ethan bought gifts. He figured since they were going to get married, Clara would eventually take him to meet the Millers. But as New Year's got closer, she hadn't mentioned any plans about visiting them. "Are you going home for New Year's?" he asked. She gave a slight nod. He waited for her to invite him, but she never did. She didn't even ask where he'd be for the holiday. "Did you tell your parents about the wedding?" he inquired. She glanced up with a cold stare, showing no excitement for their future marriage. "Why should we tell them about our wedding?" she replied. He was puzzled and asked, "Clara, what's wrong? Ever since you came back last time, you've been acting strangely." "Strange how?" she queried. "You seem upset. Did something happen at work? You can talk to me," he offered supportively. She just smiled faintly. "It's just that, after all these years, I feel like I've failed, that's all," she remarked. He assumed she was talking about them and softly reassured her. We'll be together every day from now on. Let's just leave the past behind." She said nothing. On New Year's Eve, right as midnight struck, she texted me, "Happy New Year, Leo." I deleted the message immediately. After the New Year, I heard from Noah that Clara and Ethan were getting married on May Day. I felt indifferent, realizing I had no feelings about it anymore. Ethan planned the entire wedding himself. On the wedding day, Clara invited no friends or family, but she did call the media. During the vows, Ethan tearfully agreed to marry her, talking about their long journey together. The officiant then turned to Clara, with cameras on her, and asked if she would say, "I do." Coldly, she said, "I don't." Even though Clara's friends weren't there, Ethan had gone all out, inviting everyone he knew, leaving them all in shock. He was stunned too, his voice shaking. "Clara, what are you saying?" "I said I don't," she replied with a hint of sarcasm. He stumbled back, barely steadied by the officiant. "Why, Clara, why?" Before I left, Clara felt guilty, thinking she hadn't treated me well, and believed our relationship ended because her mother disapproved. But after I left, her mother revealed the $7 million that Ethan had asked for and received from her years ago, the price for ending their love. If she had known, she would have never treated me the way she did. His lies were at the root. He was the one to blame. "How can someone so full of lies have real love?" she asked him in front of everyone. Ethan, shaking his head with tearful eyes, said, "Is it because you fell for Leo? Is that why?" Hearing my name only angered her more. "Don't you say his name. You don't deserve to. Ethan, our love ended long ago with your $7 million. How can you still talk about love?" He had almost forgotten asking for those millions to leave her. He shook his head, grabbing her hand. "It wasn't like that, Clara. Please forgive me just this once. I really love you." She shook her head and stepped back. "Ethan, it's too late." The wedding became a trending topic. Ethan the cheater, the money grubber, the fraud. The public was all over it. His big day became a joke. His agency dropped him, and he faced massive debts, having to sell his house and car. Clara returned to London and told me she had avenged me. I understood what she meant. He had gotten what he deserved. But the irony of it all was almost laughable. He and I were like two parallel lines that never intersected. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have even met. Strangers can't really hurt you, right? It's not possible. "Clara, don't you think your actions are just ridiculous? Even laughable?" My tone was gentle, but the sarcasm in my eyes was blinding. She was confused. She thought she had already gotten back at him and cut ties. So why was I still upset? She frowned at me, her eyes full of confusion and puzzlement. Seeing her like this, my heart grew cold. When someone keeps apologizing to you, regardless of whether you forgive them or not, you might think, "They've apologized. Let's just move on." But then you suddenly realize that this person has no idea what they're apologizing for. It's kind of sad. Someone who doesn't even know what they've done wrong keeps apologizing to you. "Leo, don't look at me like that." I took a deep breath and slowly lowered my eyelids. "Do you think you wronged me? Or did Ethan wrong me?" When I asked this, she froze. I continued. "What Ethan does has nothing to do with me. We're just strangers. Do you really think everything you did to me was his fault? Clara, if you were a responsible woman and really cared about him, you wouldn't have married me. If you had any sense of duty, once you married me, you wouldn't take your frustration out on me because of your own incompetence. This has nothing to do with him. It's just an excuse for your wandering heart. You could say that if he hadn't taken the money and left, you wouldn't be stuck on him. But if you were still stuck on him, you shouldn't have gotten married. If your heart was with someone else, why marry me? What am I? A tool for you to forget him or to appease your parents? Clara, I never insisted on marrying you. It was you who came to me, Yet you take out your incompetence on me. I thought your apology meant you understood why our marriage ended up like this. But now I know I was wrong. A person like you will never see their own mistakes. You only blame others. Don't ever show up in front of me again. I don't want to see your face. It disgusts me. I turned to leave, and she quickly grabbed my arm. Leo, don't go! I know it's all my fault. I wronged you. Ava, seeing us struggle from the car, quickly got out and walked over. Clara, let go of him. Her voice rang out, and Clara turned to look at her, eyes filled with anger. Who do you think you are? Ava's gaze was icy, and I frowned slightly, then looked at Clara. Forgot to mention she's my girlfriend. No way. Clara shook her head frantically. The last time she saw Ava coming and going from my family's estate with me, bringing me to see her, she had doubts. But back then, she thought I loved her too much to ever leave. Now Ava was by my side today. Her denial was met with calm faces from both of us. Ava naturally wrapped her arm around mine, and I smiled a little, leaning down to kiss her lips. Her eyes were full of affection. It was as if we had done this 1,000 times before, as natural as could be. Seeing this, Clara's heart ached painfully. Why? Leo, after all these years, it's not possible. I frowned slightly, chuckling softly. Us? No, I liked you for a few years, then got tricked into marrying you. In those years, you don't think I loved you like when we were first married, do you? What makes you think your coldness and distance are worth my day-to-day devotion? I'm done talking. Let's not meet again. It's nauseating. After I said this, Clara let go, utterly heartbroken. Ava linked arms with me as we got in the car. She looked back once. Clara still stood there, lost. Ava frowned, sent a message, then drove away. I wasn't really affected. I looked at Ava and asked, "What do you want for dinner? My treat." Ava laughed as she drove. Why? Want to thank me? I turned my head a bit towards her. I knew what was on her mind these past days. I wasn't ready for another relationship, not because I couldn't move on from Clara, but because I wanted a break. I also had school prep coming up. Just now, using someone as a scapegoat, it was I who broke the ice first. I couldn't leave things vague. I'm planning to go to grad school. I'm not really ready to jump into another marriage. Then maybe we can just date, Ava said casually. You know, be girlfriend and boyfriend. I chuckled. Sure. The two of us started dating secretly, keeping it from our families. Sophia knew what Ava was thinking, but thought I had just gotten divorced, so it might take some time. She didn't expect us to get together so quickly, so it was a surprise to her, too. Much later, I found out that the time Clara came to London, she had a car accident and hurt her leg. Her mother and her crew even came to London. My family didn't invite them over, and my mom secretly went to see a friend. The meeting didn't end on a happy note, putting some distance between our families. I didn't ask why. I focused on my studies, and Ava was occasionally in surgery, but mostly busy managing her company. The next time I heard about the Millers was a call from Eleanor. She said, "Leo, can't you part with Clara on good terms? Isn't it enough that she lost a leg? Do you have to swallow up MF Group too?" Listening to her accusations, my mind flashed through a lot of memories. Things once thought to be solid crumbled upon closer inspection. Clara's losses have nothing to do with me. I didn't cut off her leg. But she went to see you, I laughed. Is that my fault too? I didn't ask her to come. She insisted on disrupting my life. As for MF Group, Auntie, maybe my good-natured demeanor over the years made you forget that our families were in an arranged marriage, not some underdog admiration story. My family treats business like business. Whoever's more capable takes the lead. Using this to accuse me is downright funny. My words angered her so much that she hung up the phone. Later, I asked Sophia and learned that the MF Group situation was something she and Ava had worked on together. Sophia thought I might be going soft on the Millers and explained, "It's just business. We'd already planned to move on them way back. We held off purely because you and Clara were still married. Now that you're divorced, there's no need to hold back." I looked at Sophia. "No need to explain. I'm not involved in any of that." The next news about Ethan was on social media trends. He was hospitalized, unrecognizable from torment. I learned that after being tricked by Clara back then, he ended up in debt and had become some twisted rich lady's lover. I figured people have to pay for their actions. Their endings were well-deserved. 3 years later, in the spring, I sent an invitation to Noah, inviting him to my wedding. As spring bloomed, I walked through the bright days of the season with my beloved.